Hey Bookends! Welcome to a 10-minute book review. I'm 10.
I'm 2.
Yay! So this week's book review is going to be on
A Song for You by Robyn Crawford.
Yay! So we went to go see her discussion in Maplewood. I had to work. So there was only a 10, no 2. So yeah, we got to hear her discuss the book before we even read the book, and yeah, that was awesome. We're gonna leave a link to it in the cards. So we like to start off every review with a star point, as in out of 10 stars. How many stars did this particular book garner? You wore the Vanna White gloves.
I show.
Show it, girl.
She
Show
wear
it.
no gloves.
Right. I think she used to though, like in the 80s or something.
I never seen her wear no gloves. Like ever.
You probably didn't exist for then.
A certain time in the 80s, yes.
Oh God. Anyway, so yes, we like to start every book review with a star point, as in out of 10 stars. How many stars does this book honor? Now, as you may know, I always find it hard to rate a biography or an autobiography because it's a person's life. So I usually just rate it on style, like content and style, not even content because it's someone's life. So for this book, I give it a 10-star rating because the writing was lyrical. It was easy to follow. It was conversation, and in a way it was lyrical, not in a Toni Morrison type everything's a puzzle, not puzzle, everything's a poem type lyrical, but it was really good. So I give it a 10.
I give it a 10 too.
Okay, so that is 2 10s. A 10 from 10 and a 10 from 2, 2 10s. And so also a rating, as in if this was a movie or a television show, would it be rated? So there's nothing graphic in this book. There's no graphic violence. There's no graphic depictions of sex. There's not even any graphic depictions of drug use. But drug use is mentioned throughout the book a lot. And so if this was and there's cursing. So if this was a movie or a show, it would probably be somewhere between a PG-13 and an R. I'm leaning more towards a PG-13 because there's so much in it that she'd want younger readers, like teen readers, to get out of it. So jumping right on in, the story is, so some people think that this is a book about Whitney Houston. It's not a book about Whitney Houston. It's about Robyn Crawford and her friendship with Whitney Houston. So the book starts when they're both teenagers. Robyn's about to go to college. Whitney is in high school. And they meet during a summer program where they're both counselors to the little children. And they make friends quick. And Robyn soon finds out that Whitney isn't as innocent as she thought that she was. So like Whitney smokes a pack a day. Well, maybe not a pack a day, but she smokes cigarettes. And she also does drugs. Not anything heavy, but she does drugs. They make friends quick. And what Robyn kind of describes is a young woman who, about Whitney, a young woman who is very talented, very kind, very smart, but unfortunately kind of, I don't want to say downtrodden, but it's like her mother has all these expectations of Whitney. Like clean the house, wash the dishes, be my backup singer, do this, do that. When it comes to Whitney's brothers, it's like, okay, well, y'all just live. Just be living, breathing entities that exist, and it's okay. So Whitney was used to that feeling of, okay, well, I can never stand up against my mother. I can never stand up against my dad. Not that she really had to stand up against her dad, because he was more so in her corner, but moving right along. Yeah. Moving right along, though. Robyn later on decides, after hanging out with Whitney a lot, that she's going to quit college that she got on a full scholarship. Now, her mother is hyper pissed about this because her mother had to raise 3 children by herself because she left an abusive husband, and she had to put herself through college, and now her daughter has a college scholarship for basketball, and she's quitting college like 1 semester away from graduating. What I thought was interesting, though, is that Robyn said there was nothing for her to do with basketball after she graduated anyway, because the WNBA didn't exist. And I'm like, what? Didn't the WNBA exist when the NBA existed? Apparently no. Dun dun dun. Sexism! Anyway. See, apparently there was no WNBA in the middle to late 80s. It did not exist. So Whitney's career takes off, but she was also a model first. I didn't know she was a model too.
I did.
I did not. We follow Whitney and Robyn as Whitney gains popularity. Now they still do drugs together, but they're not heavy on it, which I didn't know you could do cocaine once and not become addicted. I didn't even know that you could do it socially and not become addicted. I thought like once you took it that first time, you're addicted. So I didn't know that you could be a social cocaine user. Like, you know, someone can drink socially, but they're not an alcoholic. So I didn't know that you could be a social cocaine user. So yeah, they would use cocaine socially, and Whitney's brother Michael, he was like deep into it. Like every time Whitney and them were like kind of pulling back a little bit, he was like, but I got more, but I got more, I got more. So
you always know that it's true when you hear it from more than one mouth.
Yeah.
The very same thing.
And the mother never held him accountable. Her parents actually, Whitney's parents actually didn't really do much when it came to her drug use. It seems like they were very blasé about it as long as it wasn't affecting her actual career.
Well, ain't nothing I can do about it, is this?
I know, I wish that whoever they're honking for would come outside already.
Or what would be better, call the person on the phone. That's why they have phones.
You know they ain't got nothing but a track phone. Stop playing.
They may have more.
They got an Obama phone.
Beep them people. Beep them.
This neighborhood, they got Obama phones. Stop playing. They got tracking Obamas.
Oh, you'd be surprised about some of these phones.
Anyway.
But
back to the task at hand.
I'll take the Obama phone if it's free. But
you can't have an Obama phone. You don't qualify.
Oh man. Oh well.
Anyway, back to the task at hand. So Robyn and Whitney lived together. So like they're best friends and they lived together. They did have a quick romantic relationship that lasted about 2 years when they were younger. But they both agreed that that was going to stop, and it did. And so they remained close friends, but without any sexual activity.
You basically could say that was just experimentation for Whitney.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because Whitney, she said that Whitney had never had any other relationships with women. I think Robyn knew that she was, I guess in the 80s it would be called bisexual. In the 90s it would be called trisexual. And in the now it's called pan, because I don't think she has really a preference. So I think Robyn always knew that there was something about herself, but I think Whitney was just like, you know, screw it, you're cute, and I'm gonna do what I want, you know, because these drugs make me feel cool. But they really did have a real relationship, a real friendship, and basically, you know, like if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a wife, there has to be some kind of friendship in order for that relationship to remain, because you can have sex with anybody and not like them.
Very
There's
true.
plenty of cute people that, you know, people don't like but would sleep with. It's like, well, that was interesting, but I don't like you, so can you leave? Like, can we pull a Beyonce and it's all over, please get up and leave? Thank you. So, yeah, that ended quickly, and they remained friends, but the rumors about Whitney being gay remained for a long time, not because she was actually doing anything, but because she was hanging out with her best friend and because they weren't seeing a lot of guys in the picture. Later on, Whitney meets Bobby, and there was one interesting thing in it. She wasn't actually trying to date Bobby. Like, she liked Eddie Murphy, and who wouldn't? He was cute. You saw Coming to America.
I still did. No, thank you. No, thank you.
But tell me he's not cuter than Bobby Brown, though. Tell me he's not cuter than Bobby Brown. Like, if those are the only two men left on earth.
Then I'm dead.
Then she did.
I'm dead.
But yeah, Eddie Murphy, she actually liked Eddie Murphy, and there was a really sad part because like she came over to, I believe she was coming over to Eddie Murphy's house, to celebrate his birthday or be a birthday present. Like she had some lingerie on and a robe, and she was coming over like to his place to say like, hey, and his dudes turned her away like, nah. And so she felt bad, you know, and she went on like a drug binge because she felt horrible. And when she saw Robyn, you know, she was crying and everything. She's like, why don't they like me? And that was kind of like the theme of Whitney's life, like always doing her best, always trying her hardest, always giving her 100% and putting her heart all the way in things, and then being made to feel as though she wasn't good enough or worthy enough.
Poor baby.
Yeah. Even though she was good enough, she was worthy enough, but she, I guess, found people or men or situations that always made her feel as though she wasn't good enough. Eventually, Robyn had enough of what was going on, which it took years. Like I think she cut out in the 90s, in the late 90s, I believe. Yeah, late 90s, like 99 or something. But it took years.
Cut out? What do you mean?
Cut out, like got away from Whitney.
Oh, yeah.
Because they used to live together, and they, you know, they were still close friends.
That was just a cut out that I needed help with understanding.
So anyway, yes, Whitney kind of disassociated Robyn kind of disassociated herself because, not because she didn't love Whitney as a friend, because Whitney would not stop. Like when she got with Bobby Brown and Bobby Brown was abusing her and demeaning her and making her feel like she wasn't worth anything, her drug use went from recreational to dependent. Yeah. And there was one time where Robyn got a phone call from someone saying like, hey, Whitney is high off of everything. Like people are making fun of her. Like people in Bobby Brown's crew are making fun of her because she is so messed up. And so Robyn took a flight out to where she was and saw her, and she was messed up. And she's like, Whitney, you need to go home. And Whitney, you know, was about to answer her, but then Bobby walked in and was like, you know, Whitney, do you need to go home? And Whitney was kind of a bit of a mouse when it came to men, and she was like, no, I don't need to go home. Robyn, you need to go home. And she didn't say it in a mean way, but she's like, you know, basically like, I got this. You can leave.
But you know she didn't really want to.
No. Mm-mm. So Robyn extradited herself from the situation after Bobby Brown got really like nasty with Robyn. I guess he knew not to hit Robyn because, you know, Robyn wasn't going to take it. But he got nasty with her in front of Whitney, and she was like, well, Whitney, you're not gonna handle this? And Whitney didn't say anything because I guess Whitney felt like she was between a rock and a hard place. Like my best friend or my husband. Both of them are in my life. Well, I want both of them in my life, but my best friend or my husband. So Robyn was like, okay, fine, I will fix it for you. And she resigned. And she thought that Whitney was going to call her to try to figure things out. Whitney didn't call because she was probably high. What I found interesting too is that Robyn wasn't able to have her own love life because after she was no longer physical with Whitney, if she dated a man, Whitney was okay with it. If she dated a woman, or even had, not when we say dated, because she didn't really date a woman, if she had eyes for a woman, or if she thought a woman was pretty, or had a crush on a woman, or something like that, Whitney would become emotional and angry and explode. So I'm not quite sure, and I guess we'll never know, but I'm not quite sure if Whitney was upset because she felt as though same-sex relationships were ungodly, because that's why they stopped being together, because she said that, Whitney said that they were going to go to hell if they continued doing that. So I don't know if Whitney felt like, okay, you doing this is ungodly and it's going to send you to hell and I'm mad at you, or whether she felt as though you were only allowed to ever do anything like that with me and me alone. We'll never know what side of the coin it was. Robyn does eventually end up finding love, getting married, having children. And when Whitney's death was announced, I'm not going to go into the details of part of the book, because if you want to read this book, I think that's really something you should read. The way she wrote it down, it was lyrical, and it kind of made me tear up how she felt like a premonition that Whitney was going to die. And then my heart broke when it came to, okay, let me stop. My heart kind of broke a little bit when it came to when Bobby Christina was going, you know, when her death was about to come about, because it felt like a domino effect of bad things that no one could stop. Because Robyn had extradited herself, she was on the outside looking in, trying to save people who she couldn't reach. And that's such a horrible feeling, like looking at someone that you love and feeling as though you're seemingly within arm's reach of them, but they just won't reach back. Like they just won't take your hand, and you're watching them drown, you're watching them fall, and they just won't take your hand and come back. So that kind of hurt to read. See, here's the thing, I guess. There's a generation before us who knows a different Whitney than the one that we know.
Mm-hmm.
The Whitney that we know is Prince of Egypt, Cinderella. She played, the Queen Mother. You never saw Cinderella?
No.
You never heard of The Preacher's Wife or Waiting to Exhale?
Those two, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's the ones that we know. You know, the ones in the 90s.
Because I don't know those other ones.
We don't know 80s Whitney. We know 90s Whitney. And most of it is from the eyes of a child looking upwards, not an adult looking forwards.
When was The Bodyguard?
Oh yeah, that was the 90s too. Wait,
yeah.
There was an autobiography for Whitney?
Yeah. You know her video that she did, that she wanna be me or something?
I remember Bobby
and be me.
Yeah, and I remember Bobby and Whitney. I hated that show. I felt like it was
not
demeaning.
The show. It was Whitney Houston's autobiography that she had, and people wanted to know if she died, like how would she like to be remembered? And you know,
we're gonna have to watch that.
It comes on Showtime all the time.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
Why can't I be me?
Do you have Showtime?
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta watch that. Anyway, though, yeah, the Whitney that we know isn't the Whitney who played in the clubs, because we weren't there for that.
Right.
It isn't the Whitney who was a fledgling, who did the, what was that? I think it was the national anthem and stuff.
Oh yeah, she did.
Yeah, but there's like a part of it that we are not a part of because of our generation.
Right.
So we don't know about the gay rumors. We didn't know about the drug use and stuff. What we saw was
a clean image.
Yeah, a much cleaner image. And so after she died,
boy,
even before
today is so different. They want that image of ugly out there so bad.
Yeah, people love the ugly. But once she died, even before she died, like, because we were adults when she died. And so even before she died, there were always like rumors about her doing drugs. Not the gay one. I didn't hear the gay one, because I guess Robyn had already been out of the picture for quite some time before that, and she had been married to Bobby and divorced from Bobby for quite some time.
Right.
So the gay rumors we didn't hear, but the drug ones we did. And I would always say, because I love Whitney. Whitney is my favorite singer. We played her at my wedding, and one of my hopes was to go see her live. Of course, that didn't happen. But I always said, people can say what they want about her. People can say what they want about her doing drugs. Oh well, because it's her money. She's not outside tricking for drug money. She's not outside using the government for drug money. She's not outside borrowing from you for drug money. So that's what she doing, but she stay working. It's not right, but she stay employed. So mind your business. That was always my thing. Like, even from the day her career started until the day that woman ended, she was working. I think when she died, she was at a hotel, and she was going to she either did a tour earlier or was going to do a tour later. But she stayed working. I finished this book when I was at work, and I was like sniffling at work. I'm so happy that we had a low call volume where I was, because I was just like, okay, I need to take a break. I need to take a break. But what I can say, though, is that this book is great closure for any Whitney fan, because you meet Whitney through this. I would recommend this book for anybody who's around our age. Like, if you're anything from the age of 25 to 40, let's say 25 to 40. Because if anyone from the age of 25 or 40 would have grown up with just this image of Whitney, just the bodyguard, just the Prince of Egypt, just the Disney Cinderella, just the preacher's wife, waiting to excel. These are the images of Whitney that they would have grown up with, as opposed to someone who's like older than 40, who would have known club Whitney and stuff like that who would have seen her in the clubs before she became like big Whitney. Robyn showed the sweet side of her and also showed the sarcastic side of her. But what she didn't show, because it wasn't a part of her, was a mean part of Whitney. Whitney didn't have it in her to be mean. You know, I guess anyone can be mean if they're pushed to the limit. But you ain't got no limit, bro. You just got switches. You don't got no limit. You're alive. Like, she is not a cup where it's a limit to how much you can put in the cup. It's not a cup. She's a light switch. Her anger just be off, off, switched on. What happened? What turned that on? I don't know. Yeah, I got a limit. You don't got a limit. You just got a switch. Yeah. It was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. It made me feel like I was closer to Whitney, and also it gave me some closure. It was a really good read, and we highly recommend it to anyone who wants to know more about Whitney and also wants to know more about Robyn, wants to know Robyn's side of the story, Robyn's side of the thing. It's not salacious. So for anyone who's like, this is a smut book or this is a trash book or something like that, it's not salacious. It's not Robyn trashing Whitney. It's the total opposite. It's a complete endearment. The whole thing is like an endearment letter, really, for Whitney. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. And once again, this week's book review was on
A Song for You by Robyn Crawford.
And just to let you know, guys, the reason why the review came out late this week is totally 100% on me. I suffer from chronic exhaustion brought on by chronic migraines, because everything is chronic in the hood.
Wow, this sounds like an ad.
Yeah. So couldn't really bring myself to do a lot. Right now I'm tired and have a headache. I think she's tired and has a headache too, but not from chronic exhaustion.
Yeah, something else.
Yeah. But thank you so much, guys, for sticking in and for watching and not unsubscribing for a lack of content this week. Hopefully next week will be more on the ball, because I'll be more awake and not in pain. Yay!
Yay!
Bye, Bookends.
Bye.